LFA&BARBS.
I just want to put out there that when we're saying support, it's not only limited to your friends.
Nah.
Support at work. You know how you
Fair
feel like
enough.
I'm a
Yeah.
strong girl.
Yeah.
I just want to do it. And then my boss called me into her office. I think
Yeah.
we were talking about something. And then she looked at me and she said, "Are you okay?" And I just broke
First
down.
up.
Your story begins here. Your story begins here. Single again. Single with LFA and Barbs.
Hello again, wonderful people, and welcome to another intriguing episode of Single Again with LFA and Bab. Hi, Babs.
Hi, Lola. Hi. We're here again. Yes.
Yes, we are.
Yes.
How are you doing?
I'm not too bad. I'm doing good on this lovely evening. All ready to share and to pour
Yes,
out what's,
yes,
where one is. So yes,
yes,
definitely. I'm
yes,
ready. Yes.
yes. Awesome.
Hope you are. Hope you're okay.
I am okay. I am okay,
Okay.
actually. I think I told you that I was supposed to go for trial.
Mm,
Was it last week? Was it last
yeah.
week? Yeah, but it was rescheduled.
Ah,
So
where?
that was, damping for me. But hey, you know what? On the flip side, I was grateful that it was, because I always say there is a reason for everything. I don't believe that
Yes.
anything happened
Obviously.
coincidentally,
Hmm.
you know. But at the end of the day, I think I was able to see the reason. And I
Yeah.
was just grateful. I was really grateful.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
nobody likes postponement, isn't it? Because then
Yeah.
you have got to worry about it again, set another date, and then go through the same emotions again. So
Again, I know.
postponement is never the best. But as you say, everything happens for a reason. And
Yes.
if the reason is hopefully is in our favor, that's all we can hope
Oh
for.
yes, yes, it was. It
Exactly.
was.
Oh,
But
brilliant.
it saddened me more that I have to tell my daughter again that's been
Yes.
following this, should I call it a movie? Following the
Yeah.
movie, like, okay, what's the next episode now?
The drama of our life.
Yes,
Yeah.
the disappointment on her face when
Yes.
I told her that, well, it was rescheduled, and she was like, oh gosh, when will this ever be over? you
Yeah.
know but hey, like I said, I am thankful to God. So I know that's
Amen.
actually that. This week we will be talking about support. We'll talk
Yeah.
about support for you as
Uh-huh.
a single again person, mother or father. And we'll
Yeah.
be talking about support for the children, which include the school, their friends, the friends' parents. And if you recall that I did mention some times ago that once you are single again, once you're separated, once you're divorced again or divorced, your network changes.
Mm-hmm. Of course it does.
Yes,
Yeah.
you know, the network changes, and
Yeah.
some people tend to look at you from a different light, like,
Yeah.
okay, like the wrote on your forehead, danger, keep off. you know, yeah.
Mm.
So, I think for me, I have always been very, very blessed. Like,
Yes.
I have had
Amen.
supportive friends from the beginning, you know. And I think it boiled down to me. And it's funny because my daughter will say, I pray about everything. And yes, I do. I pray about picking and choosing friends.
Mm.
I pray that God should bring the right people into my life, not just as friends, because I hold friendship there. It's
Mm.
very important to me. It's a different thing if we are acquaintances, or if we are colleagues, or even colleagues. I try to be on a playing field with everybody, but of course there are, if I can use the word, levels. you
Yes, there
know
always is, isn't it? It's human interaction. So even your colleague in the office, your colleague, that's somebody that's even a neighbor, you're always going to have different levels for different people because
yes,
we is there animal instincts of how do who you attract and
yeah,
who you endear to. So um I tend not to punish myself if I'm closer to that and not to that, because, as you say, we pray that God brings the right people into our lives. So if you are in my life, everybody's got to have their level and their, the place or where they sit for me.
And
Yeah.
it's really important because I learned this very early on,
Mm,
because I remember when my situation happened,
mm.
I I had to go to work,
Of
and
course.
I didn't know how I drove myself to work that day, because
Mm,
it wasn't that I wasn't expecting it, but it's like an emotional, I don't know how to describe it.
yeah.
Like, and I got to the office, and I just want to put out there that when we're saying support, it's not only limited to your friends.
No.
Support at work,
Hmm. Yeah,
support
that's
in
what I
your,
was going to ask you. Why did you have
yeah.
to go to work that day? Couldn't you just call your boss and say, "Listen, my home is breaking. Not today. I'm not going to be in."
I would have done that, but I didn't want to stay in the home. You know how you
Fair
feel like,
enough.
I'm a
Yeah.
strong girl.
Yeah.
I just want to do it. And then my boss called me into her office. I think
Yeah.
we were talking about something. And then she looked at me and she said, "Are you okay?" And I just broke
Burst
down.
up. Yeah, exactly.
I
Because
just
yeah.
broke
Yeah.
down. And she was like, "Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. What
Mm,
happened?" Because I didn't want anybody to know. I was
mm,
thinking it's something I can
yeah.
keep. But then
Manage.
I,
Yeah.
I just couldn't. I didn't know it was that obvious. You know, she had to, like, "Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. You want to take time off?" I
Yeah.
said, "Yes, I will, but not now."
Not today. Because it's real, isn't it? I mean, I
Yeah.
think, as you say, you got up and felt, "I'm a strong woman. I need to go." Maybe at that point you're trying to feel there's a way to cover it, but this is real thing happening in your life. So you could pretend all you like. The pretend is only delaying it, because do you know what I mean? It will, the breakdown
You need
will
to see my
come.
face.
Yeah.
I'm laughing like, "Okay, you caught me."
Yeah. Yeah, it will. It's just it. It will happen. So do we embrace it and actually? There's also the thing of not suddenly breaking down everywhere and having a pity party. So it
That was
comes back. Yeah.
exactly what I
Mm.
was trying to avoid. I don't
Yeah.
want a pity party. I don't want
Yeah.
anybody to say, "Oh, we're
Yeah.
sorry."
Yeah.
No, don't be sorry
Yeah.
for me. And that's what I tell everybody. Don't be sorry for me. Be happy for me and be thankful for me, you
Yeah.
know. And I think with time, because knowing me, I was still living in that same house.
Yeah.
And so living in that house could make me go insane.
Yes.
And I was blessed. My boss at work was very supportive. My
Hmm.
friend circle is not huge. I'm a very extroverted person. I easily get along with anybody and everybody. However, I have people that like the 12 disciples, when it's time to
Exactly.
roost, yes,
Yeah.
so we know where we go.
Hmm.
And good for me, my friends knew what was happening even prior that time. So when I called, I was just like, "Hey, guess what?" Like, "What?"
A
"Oh,
day is a
what?"
day.
Yeah, like, "Hey, if I was for divorce." And my friend was like, "Are you kidding me?" I was like,
Yeah.
"No, just thank God for me." She was like, "What? Are you crazy?" I said, "No, I'm not." And I think I am blessed with strong women around
Hmm.
me, very strong women. A few of them had experienced the same thing I
Yeah.
am going through now. So they were there to support me. And
Yeah.
I remember she was my maid of honor. She was supposed to join us, but she's having some technical issues.
Oh
She was
yeah.
my maid of honor, and she has been divorced 10 years. Like, she was
Mm.
divorced 10 years ago, and we reconnected, and she was like, "Look, it's going to be a lonely journey." I didn't understand what she meant then.
Mm. Yeah, and this is the thing, isn't it? Is like you talking about having the right people in your circle. Because if they're not the right people, when you talk to them and you're trying to break that, they'll just say, "Oh, my dear. oh, it will be better because they don't know you and they don't know what to say. So there is also the assessment of actually, do your friends really know you? Or do you know the type of friends that you have?
That you have.
And it comes up when you're in such a critical state of who really will be there for you. I mean, I think when I left my husband, my best friend was one of those who later on helped me just move my things out of the house.
Hmm.
And by doing that, my husband never forgave her. Just say, you
Hmm.
know what? If somebody, if somebody's breaking, leaving their husband, how dare you be the person who helps them move their stuff? But she had been there. She knew what I've had to put up with, what I've gone through, and if I had decided it's time to move on, then to her, she needs to be there to support as a friend. So it's very important the people that are around you, and actually, do they know you? We I find a lot of us women, not to generalize, but a few people that I know have a group of people around us, but we really don't define, the relationship or set it in a place that actually I know I can go to that person for that. I can go to that
Exactly.
person or that.
Exactly.
Yeah, and they're
And
never
it's
the
so
same.
sad. I'm sorry, go on.
No, they're never. That's what I'm saying. People, you can't expect people to love you, care about you at exactly the same level because everybody has a different character. And I think we celebrate our different to make ourselves a strong
Home.
network. Yeah.
Yes.
And if we don't do that and we expect, because sometimes I think I've had friends where what I've said to you is what they expect me to say to B, and also deal with B in the same way I deal with A. But for me, B is different from A, and we have to accept the same way I will expect you not to deal with me the same way as it, and make it a strong network so that
Yeah,
everybody's strength is used. So it's a very crucial stage
it
once
is.
we've left, and the network that we have, as we're talking about, how do you assess, who do you know to go to that will actually let you be real and not just say, oh, come, 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 let you cry. You're crying, and they actually don't know what to say to you. And you kind of, I mean, I'm sure, I believe there was a time I needed that. Let's be honest, but I also needed to have some strong women or strong men. I've been very good with having male friends. So, who can talk to you in a way that helps you go on, and yes, you also having a good support network in the office, whatever job you're in,
And
and
that's very, very
yeah,
important. It's
yeah,
very important.
it
And
is.
like you said, there are times that you just want to cry. And you just needed a
You need to
shoulder
be allowed
to
to
beg
cry.
you.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
And it's so sad that, and it's sad because I will keep going back to the church
yeah.
because that is the circle.
Mhm.
That is where you would expect, not that I expect anything really from there, but talking with even his pastor
I
was not
like that.
helpful. It
Yeah.
was terrible.
Mm.
Then
Yeah.
I had to ask myself why. Talking with some pastors that you think could help, and even pastors will be telling you that, oh, confidential information. Like, really?
Yeah. And I
Really?
think that's a scary part. I
It is
remember,
scary. That means
yeah,
I can't trust you.
no.
If I am pouring out to you and the other person is telling you things and you are supposed to help bridge the gap and you are hoarding information that I came to you with. And it's so sad, honestly, that we do that to
Yeah.
ourselves in Christendom. And not that I expected, I honestly would say that I was disappointed at myself eventually that I had to even think of discussing with his pastor or calling his pastor. But I think I did it to fulfill all righteousness. Like
Yeah.
Jesus said in the Bible,
Yeah.
let's
You
do
thought,
that.
yeah, that's what
Give
you're
unto
doing.
Caesar
Yeah.
what belongs to Caesar, just to fulfill all righteousness so that the law will be fulfilled. And I think I did that just so it won't be like, oh, did you talk with this pastor? Did you talk with this person when it happened? You know? And It's sad because most of the time, and I'm saying this because in Christendom, if you, unfortunately, it's a podcast, I am doing the quotation sign. In Christendom, the parenthesis sign, it is unfortunate that we don't really have the support that we need.
Or, I mean, I don't know because I think, sometimes we have this burden of duty for the pastor. But how much information really does the pastor have? Because over the years, we've probably not told the pastor the completeness of what the situation is. So maybe they've had to guess, or we've given them a little token of information. And when everything crashes, we have expectation. I'm not saying they're perfect. I mean, I at the time spoke to one senior pastor and said, "This is what's going on, blah, blah, blah." He turned around, looked at me and said, "Oh, Barbara, you've put up for this thing for so long. We've all seen how he's been disrespecting and misusing you." Exactly.
Really?
Yes. And I stood there and I thought, okay, this conversation can't continue because it means I'm not safe in this environment. Because if you had observed that, I never had a call from you to say, "What's going on with you two? I want to talk to you." Or, "What's the matter with you? This is what's going on. Are you okay?" Even if you can't get the two of us. But it was felt, it wasn't necessary. It's like we all just been watching it from arm's length. But what I believe is, even in the church, the Bible says not rely on anybody because the heart of man is absolutely wicked. And
Wicked.
also
Yes.
what you can have expectations of the man of God if you don't have really a practical relationship with them. And I think because
But you
sometimes
see, I don't want us to really go
no.
into the church because a lot is happening that will
Yes.
determine what kind of relationship some men of God will have with you and
Yes.
what kind of relationship they would not have.
Hmm.
You know, are you the one that gives, and you are acknowledged for that? Are you the one that always does, and you are acknowledged for that? Or are you the one that just sits there? And it's
There's
I
also a
want us
relationship for that.
we will
Yes.
continue with this in the next episode, but just let me
Yeah.
wrap up with this. In the Bible, I know it's not only Christians listening to this, and I am making reference to the Bible because that's what I know.
Hmm.
You know, Jesus asked Peter, he said, "Did you love my sheep?" He said, "Yes." He asked him 3 times, and he said,
Hmm.
"Keep my sheep, take care of my sheep."
Hmm.
So the question is, am I being fed where I am am I being fed to the extent that I can trust this person with my situation? Because
Mm.
sometimes you can't even trust, you don't know who to trust. And on
Yeah.
that note, we will
Yeah.
continue in the next episode. We will continue
Yeah.
on the next episode on
Yeah.
who to trust when you're talking about support system,
Hmm.
because this is huge. It translates even into the children. On that note, we'll be wrapping up this episode. Until we see you in the next episode, please stay tuned, share, like it, and
Yeah.
subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. Google Podcasts, Spotify. Just search for Single Again with LFA and Bab. Until then, Bab.
Yes. We see you later.
Your story begins here. Single Again with LFA and Babs.